Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a concept from Martin Heidegger's Being and Time. It's called Being Toward Death.
Right.
Now hold on, before you think this is going to be all doom and gloom, think of it more like a powerful shortcut to understanding how we live right now.
Exactly. It's a way to get a fresh perspective fast,
Yeah,
which is what our listeners are often looking for, yeah.
totally. So we're going to explore what this idea really means and why it's surprisingly relevant.
hmm And the source text itself, it defines being toward death as this unique human thing, our relationship with mortality.
Okay.
It's not just about the final moment, the event itself. It's really about how the awareness of our death shapes our existence, like from this very moment.
And there's that key term he uses, design, which just means being there,
Right.
right? But not passively.
Not at all. It emphasizes that we're actively engaged, kind of concerned with our own being. We're in it.
Okay, so let's try and unpack the main idea then. Being toward death is essentially facing that ever-present possibility, our own death. And it's not about morbidly obsessing over it, but realizing this awareness can actually give life more urgency, meaning make it feel more, well, real, authentic.
That's it. And what's fascinating is how the text breaks down why death is so unique for us.
Right.
It's the one absolute certainty we all face. Yeah.
Right, can't avoid it.
And unlike pretty much any other experience, it's completely personal,
Yeah.
non-relational, he calls it. Like, no one else can die for you.
Makes sense.
And it's indefinite. We know it's coming, but
Right.
when? No idea. That uncertainty is part of it.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Heidegger contrasts this with what he calls inauthentic existence.
Mhm.
Is that like just going through the motions, maybe doing what society expects without really thinking if it's what you value? Like his concept of the they,
Yeah.
just sort of blending in.
Precisely. Yeah, the they is about getting lost in that sort of
Yeah.
everyday chat of the superficial stuff,
Yeah.
avoiding the deeper questions about your own life, your own ending. So authentic existence, then, it's about having the courage to face that reality, your own mortality, and making choices that actually line up with your true self, in light of that finitude.
Got it. So it's definitely not about being depressed. It's more about bringing the reality of our limited time into sharper focus. How does that shift things for us?
Well, if you think about the bigger picture, acknowledging that our time isn't endless, it actually transforms how we see time itself.
How so?
It stops being this vague, infinite stretch ahead. It becomes a finite resource, something precious that maybe we should use more intentionally.
Okay, that makes sense. Using time more deliberately.
And knowing death is non-relational, totally your own, might push you to take more ownership, right? Ownership of your experiences, your choices, because you're the only one who can live your life.
So we've covered what being toward death is, but what about the psychological side? The source mentions Heidegger saw death as this core existential thing, different from maybe Freudian views.
Yeah, he put it right at the center, not as like a neurosis, but as a fundamental aspect of being human that we have to grapple with.
It's not about being fixated on death itself then, but more about becoming aware of our freedom and the responsibility that comes with that
Right.
freedom.
There's a
But isn't there a risk that constantly thinking about death could just lead to, anxiety instead of motivation? People might worry about that.
That's a really important point. And Heidegger's view isn't about constant preoccupation. It's more like a fundamental acceptance, a background awareness, maybe,
Okay.
an awareness that lets us prioritize what actually matters. Think of it like this. Imagine you're walking a mountain path in really dense fog.
Hmm.
There could be a steep drop-off nearby, even if you can't see it. That awareness doesn't paralyze you, hopefully. Instead, it makes you more careful, more deliberate with each step you take.
I like that metaphor. Yeah.
That's kind of the essence.
Yeah.
It's not about fear ruling you, but about heightened presence,
Hmm.
sharpened focus.
Right. Less morbid obsession, more life focus. And this deep dive also mentions this isn't just dusty old philosophy, does it? It connects to like modern stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It has real legs today. In existential psychotherapy, for instance, exploring a client's awareness of their mortality is often, well, a key part of helping them find meaning, helping them live more authentically.
Interesting.
And we see it reflected all over in art and literature, don't we? Think of films like Ikiru, or maybe Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Stories where characters face death and it forces them to make these profound choices about how they've lived or how they will live.
Yeah, those stories really resonate.
They do, because they tap into this fundamental human thing. It even links up with, say, mindfulness practices that focus on being present, accepting impermanence. It's all connected.
Okay, so let's quickly recap them. Being toward death, fundamentally, isn't about being morbid. It's recognizing death as certain, deeply personal, and also indefinite. We don't know when.
Right. That possibility shapes our existence.
And facing this reality authentically can lead to a more engaged life, a deeper appreciation for the time we actually have.
Precisely. It reframes things.
Which brings us to a final thought, something for you, our listener, to maybe mull over. Thinking about this idea, how might consciously acknowledging that your time is finite, how might that influence the way you approach things? Your current projects, maybe, or even your relationships.
Yeah, how does that awareness change your next step on the path?
Definitely something powerful to consider.